Good evening, everyone. We're back with the NFTV reaction with myself, Sam, and Matt. Brandon is due in. I think he's still cooking his dinner. Anyone that was watching the live stream will get that joke. But yeah, point. We've got a point at the Molyneux again. After what I've seen, I'm happy with it. Are you happy with that, Sam?
On the balance of play, yes, you would have to be. Third season in a row now, 1-1. Should have really had a few quid on it, but never mind. Yeah, I mean, the state of the game was something else, but before the game, you'd have taken a point. And as Matt was just saying off camera before we started, that's the tragic thing, isn't it?
Matt, talk to us about your feelings, mate. I know they're a bit more subdued than us.
Well, yeah, it's just I'm drained. I'm tired of it, and I'd want to start the video by actually praising Steve Bruce before I just slate him for the rest of the video, because the last few games, the main criticism I've had is the space between the back line and the midfield. Their attackers have always found a little gap, a pocket of space between our two lines, and today they didn't really find that. So I have to praise Steve Bruce for that, and that's the only bit of praise you'll ever hear coming out of my mouth for him, because today was absolutely shocking for 90 minutes.
It was. I'll get straight into the lineups because, again, we've come to know now that we cannot predict a Steve Bruce lineup anymore. It's impossible.
No.
Anyone that gets it correct, bang on, I'd put a lottery ticket on that evening. We'll move over to the Wolves one first. Strong side, as always with Wolves. They've come to be one of those fluid attacking sides over the last couple of seasons. Made some great signings again. What did you guys think when you saw this lineup? Obviously minus Traore.
Yeah, he doesn't play that much. He doesn't. That's not uncommon to see Traore not starting. I've noticed that quite a lot with Wolves. He's not afraid to change it round, is he? And no Moutinho, which he's been rotating with Neves, hasn't he? So it was an interesting one. You'd kind of think, oh, okay, that's gettable. But then you see our team and you're like, ooh, okay, nice. But what formation's that? So in the end, it was a 3-5-1-1. I mean, on Twitter, I called it the Mike Bassett Christmas pudding with Almiron as the sixpence. But
it was a bit mad, wasn't it? It was a bit mad. Yeah, Matt, if you want to talk us through the actual formation that you went with.
Well, like you say, it was kind of a 3-5-1-1. There was at times it was a 5-3-2 with Fraser and Almiron sitting either side of Hendrick in midfield, and then it was a 3-4-3. It was everything that it could have possibly been in 90 minutes with those players. But you just never know. Like, you look at those players, and there's, 4 wingers? If you class Murphy, Almiron, Saint Maximin and Fraser, they're all players that naturally gifted on the wing. And one of them's playing at right back and one of them's playing at centre mid. Like, I'm baffled. We clearly set up to match Wolves' formation. They look like they were playing 2 up top with Jiminez and Fernandez. And then obviously with the wing-backs pushing on, originally Saiss on the left, but replaced by Markel, and Semedo troubling down the right as well. But he's Steve Bruce's credit to him. He's actually looked at their lineup because they don't tend to rotate too much. They tend to stick with. They've got an identity, and he's kind of put the team out to combat that. And it worked for the most part. They didn't have too much. Yes, you look at the stats, and they had a lot of shots, but there wasn't too many dangerous opportunities for them. We managed to shut them down quite well.
Definitely. I'm not cutting you off, mate. I'll just add the legend in, Mr. Brandon.
Here we go.
Nice of you to join us, mate.
No worries. How are you doing?
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, after that amazing performance today, I'm doing great.
I don't know whether you're being serious.
I'm buzzing. Of course I'm not, man. It was such a boring game. Oh, wait. Jesus Christ.
I've just got Sam and Matt's brief reactions on our lineup. Brandon, what was your thoughts on the lineup that we had today?
I don't know. I couldn't figure out the formation, to be fair. If you see all the names, you would think it's a really attacking formation, but I don't know what he was thinking. I give up on Bruce now. I'm over the line. Sam got me.
First time I admit. You were Steve Bruce's great defender.
Yeah, I know, but after today, it was such a boring game. I just... No clue.
I thought you'd have been the opposite. Point at Wolves. Wolves, really good team. Winning a point there, I thought you'd be buzzing and, have a Steve Bruce tattoo on order.
So is that
No, I
you done,
don't know.
Brandon? Is that you done with Steve Bruce?
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's time for change, I guess, now.
Fair enough.
I have to admit, I gave him a lot of chances. I have to admit with Sam, clueless, and most of the other lads as well.
Yeah. Talk to me about Jamal Lewis's performance today, mate. Brandon, what were your thoughts on Jamal Lewis?
I'm still not convinced, like every week. Defensively, I don't know. It's not it, right?
Obviously you're quite fond of him going forward, but you're just completely unsure about his defensive positioning, or what?
I don't know. I don't know. He's just not a good marker. I don't know. I just don't see him perform well. If you saw Murphy today, that's what you want from Lewis, and I haven't really seen that from Jamal at all.
Yeah, I think me personally, I did a lineup prediction video prior to everything today.
How many of them did you get right? I bet not many.
You know what I did get right? Well, arguably right, is that we were
kind
of at some point playing 5 at the back, maybe, arguably. But no, I was just going to say, I was worried for Jamal Lewis today coming up against Adama Traore, but thankfully he didn't start. So, I don't think he put much of a foot wrong. What about you, Sam?
I think with Lewis, the first 20 minutes he was having real problems because Semedo, all of their attacks were running through him, and we hadn't quite figured out the shape of the team, so he wasn't really getting much help, was Lewis. Once Miggy kind of drifted over more to the left and helped him out, then he looked a lot more comfortable defensively. But he is a work in progress, to coin a Steve Bruce phrase. I do like the lad Jamal Lewis. I think he is.
But I like Steve Bruce as well. I like him still, but.
Oh, you just said Bruce out a minute ago. You just said it was time.
As a person, I still like him, but from Newcastle standpoint, it's not working probably.
No, but yeah, Lewis kind of grew into the game. I felt. It's always going to be tricky for him because it kind of reminds me of Olivier Bernard and Laurent Robert. Robert just never tracked back at all, did he? Yeah. And sometimes Bernard was left horribly exposed, which is what sometimes will happen. But on the whole, he did okay.
Yeah, one thing I was praying for with that, if it was to be Adama Traore starting, was that Miggy would be the one playing out on the left, because defensively he's got the best work rate out of those wingers. So I think he should have done that from the start, but thankfully we grew into that. Coming over to yourself, Matt, what were your hopes for Wilson today?
Well, it's always a tricky one when we play so deep, because we play those long balls into Wilson in behind, and we saw quite early on. It was Jacob Murphy whipped one in from the right back position, and he put it behind Kilman, and Wilson had a quick snapshot that was blocked, and it was those kind of chances that he was having to feed off scraps today. But it wasn't really too many chances for him to feed off, because there was no one getting up the pitch to support him. He's very much a man by himself, even with Saint Maximin on the pitch, who, in my opinion, Saint Maximin had an all right game, but he didn't really look switched on at the best of times. He had one good opportunity where he beat a couple men, but he didn't really look too interested. So whether that's a lack of fitness or his head just wasn't in it, I can see why Bruce took him off earlier than some of the other players.
Definitely. I'll come over to yourself for that one, Sam, with Maximin. Do you feel like, because we've talked about him potentially playing in that sort of 10 role and playing off the back of Wilson. Do you think today was an eye-opener for us that maybe he can't play in that position, or do you think he sat too high?
Well, he didn't have a position today, did he? Bruce said he was in a free role, which maybe he needs to be told where to play and what to do, rather than just say, right, you got a free role, create a bit. I scored him a 4 on scoring the players, which was the lowest out of anyone today. It just wasn't his day, was it? Nothing really came off. He had a shot on target, which was only a threat because it took a massive deflection. you're going to get games like that with players like that. They're not going to be 100 mile an hour every game, are they? So it's a shame because Wilson worked his absolute knackers off up there for little and no reward. So that's maybe something we've got to look at when.
Yeah, I think that's what was frustrating for me with him. I was expecting Maximin to be running off the back of him and helping him out, and like Matt said, he just didn't seem with it at all, did he?
No.
So, yeah, frustrating one for him. Not his best game at all. Coming over to yourself, Brandon. Jacob Murphy got a start today. What were your thoughts on that, mate? And how do you think he got on?
Happily surprised. First half, he was still a little bit sloppy, but later off, he came up well. And surprisingly, defensively, he was pretty good. Great, actually, to be fair.
Yeah,
so, yeah, man of the match for me, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah.
You definitely
I think even
100%.
Yeah.
We all agreed on that one.
Plus, taking the goal. Good free kick. Rui Patricio could have saved it, but
yeah,
I think even before he scored, he was arguably our man of the match. Like when we were looking at Lewis earlier, there was times he was a bit uncertain, but with Murphy, I was never really worried. At the start of the game, I'll admit I was cacking my little pants. I thought he was going to get beaten turned inside out. And there was the one bit of skill from Podence, which probably would have turned even the most experienced defenders inside out. So we can't criticise him there. But he just never stopped running for 90 minutes, and you can't really ask anything more of him. He never allowed really many dangerous crosses in, never left his man alone. And really fantastic performance. I think he suits a wing-back position. I can't see him playing as a full-back in a back four. So we'll see if Bruce sticks with him against Everton. But no, a really, really impressive performance and deservedly man of the match, I think.
So also,
go on, Brandon.
Also, him coming forward, I thought he was much better. For example, Manquillo or Kraft, he was more of a threat in that way, right?
Well, this is similar to this is my point because I made a little point on scoring the players, which wasn't really for scoring the players. It's better off discussed in this, I think. Bruce has kind of fallen on this by complete accident, hasn't he? He's already registered 3 right backs in his 25-man squad, at the expense of having to sell someone like Dan Barlaser, who arguably would have started today, given the problems in central midfield. So I just can't understand. I mean, he's left out Christian Atsu of the 25, which for some it's a no-brainer, but for others, it's when you look at the whole balance of the squad, it's a relatively big call. But you've got 3 right backs there, and you've not played any of them to play Jacob Murphy right wing back. So it's still puzzling me a bit. It just proves that he still doesn't know his strongest squad, let alone strongest team.
Definitely. Me and Adam had this conversation. Is Manquillo injured, or is he just falling out?
No, he's on the bench.
Were asking, no, I know he's on the bench today, but has he picked up a knock? Because a lot of people were asking in the comments when we were doing the live chat, has he just fallen out of favour? Has he fallen out with Steve Bruce? Like you say, it's just a bit strange, isn't it, that he's neglecting these active right backs to then go and stick Jacob Murphy at wing back, which I was fine with, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I was fine with it. And it's worked wonders in the end because he was the only kind of real positive that you could say was outright positive. Fantastic to see. Absolutely terrible. I think the 4 of us would have all sold him if it was our squad a season or 2 ago. Looked championship quality at best. Got his head down. Good loan spell. Games under his belt. Come back fighting fit, and he might have found a new niche there because that's the only real way he's going to get into the team, and it didn't half work today.
100%. Matt, can you just let everyone know what you'd have done had he been sat at wing back at full back rather than wing back?
I said in the group chat to the lads, maybe a joke and a bit of poor taste, but I think I was going to take a bath with a toaster if Jay Murphy had started at full back for us. But luckily, that's not the case because I still think that would have turned out very well for us. But it'll be interesting to see what Bruce does against Everton because we know that they've got attacking fullbacks. Obviously, Dini's been suspended today with a straight red, but Calvert-Lewin's a very big presence in the box, and I don't think our centre-backs are going to be able to contain him very well if we can see the amount of crosses that we did today, because I know Lewis was in trouble. And Murphy, if he plays in fullback, I think he could be in trouble as well.
Would you? Sorry, Carl.
No,
Matt, would you persevere with this system, given the right personnel? Because this was the point Johnny was making earlier in scoring the players as well. He likes this formation, but it's just today. Obviously, we were short in centre mid.
Yeah.
When Shelby and Hayden are back, then you can push Fraser out of centre midfield and get the right personnel there. Has it got a bit of?
I like the shape. I'm not sure I like the tactics that come with the shape, because it's very much a sit back and hit them on the counter, and we don't have the facilities for that. Even with the talent of Fraser, Saint Maximin and WIlson in a free roaming front three, I don't think we've got the capabilities to play that kind of football. Obviously, Hayden, Shelby, and possibly Hendrick as a third midfielder, if it was a back five with a flat three in midfield and then two up top. That might work if Hayden's kind of sitting in, adding that foil, letting Shelby express himself a bit more. We might concede less, or concede less shots at least. It'll be interesting because Steve Bruce, like you say, he still doesn't know his best team. I think the commentator summed it up best mid-game, and he said, I don't think Steve Bruce knew exactly what to expect when he picked this team today, which kind of sums up his ineptitude for me. But we'll see come the end of the season where we end up, if we've scraped another survival in the Premier League, or if we, challenging for the Europa League places. You never know with this team.
No, you don't. You're absolutely bang on there, man. No idea what's going to happen this season. No idea.
The way we played last 2 weeks, do you think, because I had that poll on like a few weeks ago, where we would end up on by Christmas, is it realistic we end up by Christmas between 13 and 17? Or what was it again? 9 or 12, I think. That's what most people thought we would end up 2 weeks ago when we beat it Burnley. Is it 2 or 3 weeks ago? I don't know. After the Burnley win, I had a poll, and most people said we finished by Christmas between 9th and 12th. Is that realistic now, seeing
I
last
think
2 weeks?
So, personally, just because we've got Everton, Chelsea, Palace, and then you've got Villa, who are in form. And then, like, the one that I was looking at, I was thinking, where can we potentially get 3 points from? Was then West Brom, which was another game down the line. So I didn't see us picking up 3 points for another 5 games. I don't know about you boys.
Probably we can get some 1 or 2 points by a draw somehow. With this, it's always like this. The last couple of seasons, we pick up points in the way most unexpected games, right? Last season as well.
I was just being pessimistic, just actually looking at it and thinking of looking at those fixtures. Who can I guarantee 3 points from? It was only the West Brom game for myself. What about you, Sam?
I mean, if we play the Everton team that turned up at Southampton today, I'll have a bit of that. They were completely off the pace today. Long may that continue for another week at least. We've got half decent record at home against Chelsea, haven't we? Problem is with teams now, for whatever reason, it might be lack of crowds or it might be this, that, and the other, but you just don't know what you're going to get from any side, do you? It's just all over the place. You wouldn't have thought Villa would have got battered at Leeds with the way they started the season. You wouldn't have thought Everton would have got done by Southampton today, would you? So you don't really know what to expect. So we might nick an unexpected win somewhere, because Palace are even looking half decent at the moment, aren't they? So you wouldn't wholly fancy us to get 3 points there. I don't know. But there is, I mean, if we're being worst case scenario pessimists, then I take some comfort that there is already that nice little gap, that nice little cushion in between the bottom 3 and 4, who are really struggling straight from the off. So
how many points would you lot take for the next 5 games? With what would you be satisfied if you see the fixtures?
15.
Realistically,
go home.
Come on, no way.
I mean, realistically, I'll be happy with 7 points.
Probably
a win from.
I think 5 or 6 points would be enough for us. Like a win against West Brom, pretty much we have to beat West Brom. There's no two ways about it. Like a team like that, yes, they've had their moments. They look all right, but you can't be losing to a side like that. The thing, not just because you lose the 3 points, but the morale, the hit of morale that you'll take from losing to a bottom 3 side. But yeah, we should be taking 3 points off them for sure.
Definitely. I mean,
I will be happy if we beat Aston Villa and take 2 points in a draw. Some other games, as long as we beat Villa.
We have to beat Villa. We have for mine and Carl's sanity. We have to beat Villa.
Honestly, if we don't beat Villa, I'm not doing any shows that week. Like, not at all. I'm not showing my face anywhere. Moving back to today's game, obviously it was quite lackluster in terms of what was going on. We're pretty solid. Wolves had a few chances. Darlow's made a decent save down to his left-hand side. They've had a couple of flash chances. Wilson's been put in by for a couple of chances. Nothing's really come of it. And then second half, Jiminez has scored off the half volley from outside the box. Who, if anyone, would you put to put at fault for that goal? Do you think Darlow should have done better? Do you think Joe Linton and Longstaff could have maybe pushed out a little bit quicker, or do you think it was just a good goal from Raul Jiminez?
I think the blame has to fall with Darlow, unfortunately for me. You could criticise people around the pitch, but he's gone with his wrong hand for starters. Instead of he could just go for two hands. It's in a position where he could catch it if he's confident enough, but even getting two strong hands and palming it away, that's what he's got to do. Or at the very minimum, use the right hand side, his right glove to palm that way instead of his left. He's got a weak wrist to it, and he should be stopping it. Yes, he's caught off guard because it's a good strike from Jiminez, but the blame has to fall almost entirely with him. You could criticise Joe Linton and say maybe he should get out quicker, but then why don't you criticise the defenders for picking up their man rather than zonal marking? They've seen the striker drop away to the edge of the box. Why not one of you drop off and close him down?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I'd just add to it that Adam made a good point in scoring the players that Sean Longstaff was charging in like that, which I can understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays.
With VAR how it is now, I absolutely understand that. But there could have been more urgency. That's when you want to check Tiote just flying at him, blocking the shot.
But I have to make a small case for Darlow. There was so many players and men in front of him. Like he saw the ball a bit late though, right? That's probably why he couldn't really get a hand on it.
Yeah, he sees it a bit late. Yeah, I'll give him that. But then, if it is a reaction save, surely you go with the close hand rather than the far away hand.
That I agree. But in the end, it was also just a good goal.
It was a good strike. Can't take that away from him.
It's a shame as well because that was their only chances, wasn't it? They had nothing in the box. No, nothing really that clear cut. All their chances were from outside the box, which the form Darlow's been in, you'd think he'd be swallowing them up for fun.
Absolutely.
Most saves in top 5 leagues, I think. Europe's top 5 leagues. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Across Europe, yeah. Was it 39 saves or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but I 100% agree because I said this morning. I'm sick to death of this zonal fucking marking that we've got on. It's ridiculous. Like, stop marking the space. Press your man. But and like you said, it's a shame because that's the only one that's come unstuck. But it is what it is. Thankfully, after that, Jacob Murphy's pulled out a beautiful free kick. Very clever from him, as you've noted. But again, not taking too much away from him. Do you think the keeper should maybe save in that as well? Sam?
They've had a mare, haven't they? The Wolves wall and goalkeeper. He's not set his wall up correctly at all. It just looked odd. But I bet you agree that he was the last person you thought that was going to be taking that free kick.
Yeah.
It just looked right for the left footer, didn't it? Yeah, he bent it round the wall really smartly, and Patricio's had a nightmare. They'll be disappointed with that. But yeah, more fool them and thank fuck.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the league table, we're sat 14th, 8 points from 6 games. Should we be happy with that? Are we happy with that? Brandon, how do you feel about
that? Difficult one.
I mean, we're above Man United still.
This is exactly what the lads, my pals, have just said to me in the WhatsApp group. I've had a pop at a few things, and they're like, "You're still above Man United." I'm like, well, they're crap as well, but still. What about yourself, Matt? Were you expecting to see us higher up the table, or are we whereabouts you expected us to be at this point in the season?
I mean, you can't complain. I don't know if you can still hear me. My headphones have stopped working, but you can't complain about where we're at and the points we've gained so far. You know, we're averaging just over a point a game. Yes, you look back at the games that we've played, we shouldn't be getting beat by Brighton, but then again, we probably didn't deserve a point today. We probably didn't deserve a point against Spurs either. So we take those points over the course of the season. We always do. We come up against sides and we take 1 or 3 points off teams we shouldn't do, and we lose games we shouldn't lose. Unfortunately, that's just the life of being a Newcastle United fan. Like you say, I think, Sam, you said earlier, it's nice to see a cushion between us and the bottom three already forming. You know, you're averaging 1 point, just over a point a game. That's going to get you just shy of the 40-point mark, which is obviously like widely regarded as a safety. So we should be there. We should be happy with that, realistically, especially with Steve Bruce at the helm. You can't wish for much more. But we will see where we are come Christmas and come the end of the season, like you said.
Perfect. That little slide dig will follow nicely into this bit here. Steve Bruce, Sam, how do you rate his performance today? I know obviously you've done your score in the players, so I'll be interested to see what you've done there as well.
So we gave him a 5 on scoring the players. So and we were torn between 4 and 5. He's chucked on all his attacking players in a system they've never played, which is normal now because every game we seem to have a different formation. I don't know. It's a strange one. You would have took a point before the game every day of the week, wouldn't you? I was concerned with the lack of creativity that we actually produced with all them players, but it was a bit. They're going to take time to gel, I suppose, aren't they? Because that was the first time they've all played together, which is what we've been crying out for, isn't it? So he's made a smart move with Murphy. But we all feel the same, though, don't we? There's just a degree of ineptitude there, and it's just all very confusing and all a bit shithousing our way to these odd points that we don't really deserve. I mean, I say we don't really deserve. I thought we were slightly better than Wolves' first half. And that was because the first half was absolutely mind-numbingly boring. I mean, you and Adam, Karl, are absolute troopers for doing a watch-along after that monstrosity.
Honestly, we've got 2 good games to start on, haven't we? We should have done it on the Burnley game.
Yeah. That would have been good. I still haven't seen your celebration reactions yet from Murphy's equaliser, so I've got that to look forward to. But Bruce, he's just kind of winging it, isn't he? I like him as a person. I so desperately want him to succeed because that means Newcastle are succeeding, let's face it. We're comfortable enough in the league. It's a results business, so he's doing okay. But he needs to start pulling out these performances and just not winging it.
What I was going to ask is, and this goes out to everyone, like, what do we do? Like, especially for people like ourselves that are doing these fan channels, it's getting a little bit difficult to not slate him and look stupid at the same time when he's coming out with these bastard results. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do we do as fans now? Because he's, on the face of it, we've all wanted an attacking lineup, which we, you know, on paper it looked like we were getting to that. He's then gone and sat them defensively as if to prove a point to Newcastle fans, saying, look, this doesn't work. And then Jacob Murphy's come out with a goal after going 1-0 down, so he's come out smelling the roses. And I'm just like, how do I even assess this Steve Bruce performance? Like, what do we do as Newcastle fans? Because me and Adam were talking about it, and we're just going to look stupid. Like, we don't know what to say anymore. So
Can I?
Yeah.
I would say, like, when I was still defending Bruce, I always said, like, as long as he takes up points, we cannot really blame the guy. Now he still takes up points, so we cannot really say anything. But it was fucking boring. Like, Jesus Christ, he got me over with this game. I don't know, but as long as he picks up points, it's fine. But I'm hopefully he cannot go back now to the defensive play, right? Because he still picked up a point, and defense are sort of right. You know what I mean? Because we wanted more attacking football, but I don't know, man. I hope next game will be better, that they get more used to the formation, but
yeah,
we'll see. I think Bruce just lives by the week.
Yeah,
I hate when people compare Rafa and Bruce, but when we played under Rafa, we played defensively because we wanted to, and now we play under Bruce, we play defensively because we've got no choice. Yeah. It doesn't set the team up tactically well enough to play any sort of attacking football. You could start 11 strikers. It's not an attacking team if you don't set them up to play an attacking game. Yes, we played 4 wingers today, but you played one at centre mid, you played one at right back, you played a striker isolated with a number 10 that doesn't support him. They're not players that are going to go score you goals. No. You could put Messi in that team and he probably doesn't score a goal because he doesn't have the opportunity to. He can't do it all himself. It's down to the manager to use the abilities of his players to go into training, see what their strengths are and play to their strengths, but he just doesn't seem to be able to do that, which is why it's so frustrating when he picks up points like these. Because unless you're a Newcastle United fan that watches games week in, week out, you can't justify it to any other fan base. They'll look at the table and say, you took a point off Spurs, you took a point off Wolves. Like, what are you complaining about? We watched 90 minutes of dribble. It's beggars belief watching stupid.
Absolutely.
This is the thing as well. Like, you had Hayden and Sean Longstaff on the bench. If they're fit enough to be on the bench, they're fit enough to be on the pitch. I mean, they could have had 40. Worst case scenario, they could have had 45 minutes apiece.
Yeah, definitely.
And that brings back to my point of and that brings again back to my point of not flogging Yedlin and selling Dan Barlaser.
Yeah. Oh. So, yeah, that's where we're at with Steve Bruce. We don't know as much as he doesn't know what side he's putting out every week. But thanks again for dropping in, lads. At least we come out with a point this week, At least we come out with a point.
Keeps that points tally ticking over, doesn't it? So it's whether we like it. Well, we do like it. It's a positive result at the end of the day, isn't it? And it didn't look like it was going to happen for a lot of it.
No, definitely not. So, yeah, it's been Carl, Sam, Brandon and Matt from the group reaction on Newcastle Fans TV. You'll have Lee coming up with the last word. And if you haven't already checked out Scoring the Players, check out Scoring the Players. Johnny, have you got any Greenwood and Bullen news to share before we
I'm going to ignore the fact that you just called me Johnny.
Johnny.
Johnny's going to love that.
What was it, the Jonathan and Greenwood show the other week?
And now I've had Johnny, have you got any Greenwood and Mullen?
I'm sorry, mate.
Honest Christ. Don't know why I bother. Yeah, we have. We've got.
It's been a long day. I'm sorry.
We've got Pete Graves from Sky Sports News on with myself and Johnny. I think it's coming out on Tuesday. So that's a cracker. That's an hour of pure Pete on takeovers. Bruce, Bobby, Kevin Keegan, all sorts. It's very good, if I do say so myself.
Perfect. Apologies again, mate. Genuinely. If you haven't already,
Liam,
go and check out all of that content. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, because we're at 23,500 subscribers at the moment. We're pushing to get to at least 25 before Christmas. I know with this fan base we've got, we can get that done. Also on Facebook, if you're not following, come over there as well. We'll see you next week and tune in for the last word shortly. It's been your boy, Carl, Brandon, Matt and Sam. Take it easy.